Hey everybody, Tim here with the Ugly Off-Grid YouTube channel. I figured I would make up on my promise of doing a little more recording on what I'm doing, and today is that day. I am out here working on the 2.5 liter Mercruiser engine, the 120 horse style, and I have just a few things I need to do to fit it into my boat. One of them was to swap out the original intake for the intake that came off the motor that was inside my boat. And right this second, this motor had a studded intake, and I'm just working on pulling the studs out right this second. So we're gonna zoom y'all in just a little bit on that, and I'm gonna show y'all what I got going on here. So I got this little stud extractor tool here that I got from AutoZone. It is a Duralast number 80-001, and it makes quick work of pulling these studs out. So it fits a little 3/8 wrench, and it is reverse threaded, so when you tighten or when you go to remove, it pulls down on the stud, and to release it you just tighten, and voila, pulls the studs out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this intake that came off my original motor that's down here on the side of this head. I do a little bit of modification for the bracket because the bracket for the alternator was up here and the bolt is on the front of this to fit it back. And the only reason I'm swapping the intake / exhaust manifolds is because the upriser that I have that fits my boat is different than the upriser that was on the original intake / exhaust manifold. So I'm just doing some swapping over here, and I have to find some bolts, but I figured I'd let y'all follow along with me. And this little tool right here is making quick work of this job. I was a little worried, as old being the engine is very, very old. Oh, that happens. You gotta get the pipe wrench out here and loosen it up just a little, and then keep taking them out. But I'm going to have to take and go and pick up some bolts that match the thread pitch of these studs and clean this surface up a little bit. And I gotta do some cleaning, and I gotta swap the valve cover over. As soon as I'm done swapping the valve cover over, I can fit this motor right back into my boat. It'll go right back in there. Come on. There we go. There. There it goes. So I'm hoping it won't be too much longer. I'll have my old boat going. Oh yeah, this thing right here, worth its weight in gold. Let's see here. Alrighty. Now I wanted to see about getting this cleaned up a little bit, so I'll be right back. Let me grab my tool for that. And all I'm doing here is getting that old gasket material off of there and cleaning up a little bit of the surface here. I probably need to move that wire out of my way. I need to move that wire out of my way. And it's pretty clean on the surface here, so I'm just going to give it a light brush over. And once I'm done giving it a light brush over, I already had a gasket in my building for this from when I first started this project. Get better. There we go. I'm thinking this thing probably had an exhaust leak for some time. Right there. No, actually, it didn't. It just, it didn't have the metal there on the intake slash exhaust manifold like mine does. So mine should fit right up there naturally. And I'm just going to clean it up a little bit more and call it a wrap. I'm more worried about the intake ports being clean versus the exhaust ports. I don't want there to be a vacuum leak. But it's always good to have pretty flush mating surfaces between your intake manifold and stuff. You don't really want there to be a lot of I think that'll be just fine. That'll work for what I need it to do. I'll come back over that right there with a little bit of a razor blade and flush that out just a little bit, screwdriver, and flush that down just a little bit. Call it a day on that. But the way a marine engine works like this with the intake is it has an intake exhaust manifold combo. So like you would normally see on a vehicle engine, you have an exhaust system on one side and the intake on top. This has the intake. Make sure you got a good view there where I'm pointing to. There we go. Now you can see a little bit better. Zoom in. There we go. So you have your intake ports and your exhaust ports on the same side of the motor, and water flows. Here, I'll pick it up, show you just a little bit. Let me zoom my camera out just a little bit. Let's see. There we go. So this is heavy. So you have water going in and flows on the inside of all this, and it comes out these ports here. Then you have your exhaust coming out here, and this is your intake. Your carburetor, what sits up here. So you everything's on one side of the motor. Then you have your little upriser that comes up, and that is what will going on here. And you have your upriser that comes up and connects into the back of the boat, where the water will flow out along with your exhaust gases, and the water helps keep your entire exhaust system cool. And that's kind of my understanding of how it works. Yeah, pollen. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of what it is. And I'm hoping to have this motor put back together and in the boat in a couple of weeks, and had the boat waterworthy within about a month, and then I can go put it in about the later end or middle of summer. So that's the idea. That's what I'm shooting for, and I figured I would just show you. And what I'll do is I will walk us over here to the boat and show you what I'm working with. I picked it up for about 500 bucks. The inside of it's not very pretty, but I'm working on it. And by the time it's all said and done, this is where that motor's got to go. And it's not pretty right this second. I got to do some more cleaning up, sweep it out. My belated kin parked it under some trees when I had it sitting at the family residency, and got kind of filled up. And here's the old engine that was in it. I took it completely apart to figure out what was wrong with it, and I found out what was wrong with it. Cylinder 4 had a seized wrist pin on the piston, and it slapped a gouge into the cylinder bore, and it slapped a nasty gouge into it. It wasn't very pretty at all. So I tried to home it out, and I was hoping I could home it out, and it just didn't go how I had intended it. And last weekend I found a 2.5 liter Mercruiser on eBay. I'd like to thank the gentleman that had it on eBay, because it was only $300. And I went to Kentucky and got it. And I drove 10 hours from North Carolina to Kentucky. And 10 hours back. So it was 20 hours round trip, and I did all that. I started Saturday and I got back Sunday afternoon. So I was a little tired after that, but I should have recorded that trip. I've got a couple of videos of that, and I'll throw those in there. They're not very extensive videos, but I'll edit them in to this one right here and show y'all the tunnel I went through and stuff. It was pretty cool. I thought it was different because I've never been to Kentucky before, but I drove through Virginia, through West Virginia into Kentucky, and then drove straight from Kentucky back through Virginia. Google Maps, the way it routed me was weird, but for the most part, I'm hoping to have it running here shortly, and pretty much going. Yep, I gotta just do a little bit more tinkering with it. I gotta change out the valve cover to match my valve cover, because then my valve cover, when I put my valve cover back on, all my little accessories will be up there that my shift linkage and stuff connect into, and that go to my throttle control and my gear control, so my gear selector. And I'll let you know how it goes. I'll record the motor going in, and just gotta remember to record. That's my biggest problem, is remembering to record, but and getting better at recording. I don't talk to a camera very well, and I figured this one out. I'm a licensed ham operator. I talk to people all the time on the radio, but talking to a camera is a little bit different. I feel like I'm talking to myself. I don't do that very often, but enough. But yeah, it is hot out here. So it was almost 98 degrees today, and humid, and I'm talking about humid water just condensing out of thin air. But for the most part, I'll keep y'all posted. This is Tim with the Ugly Off-Grid YouTube channel, and I'll catch y'all on the flip. Signing off. Big Walker Mountain Tunnel. I'm in a freaking tunnel, people. I ain't never been inside of a mountain. Look at that. Ain't that something?